Hello everyone, and welcome to another Pixel Game Maker tutorial. Today's tutorial we're going to go over two runtime actions. We're going to go over destroy object and restore destroyed object. I was originally going to also add disable object and enable disabled object in this video, but there is actually quite a bit going on with destroy and restore, both in the runtime and outside the runtime. So I want to cover everything about destroy and restore first. And then in the next video, I'll go over disable object and enable disabled object. And then in that video, I'll compare the two and show the difference. Okay. And with that said, let's get started. I'm going to cancel out of here. I have this enemy, goes from idle. When HP is 0, it goes to destroy, which is where we'll add the runtime action. And then unconditionally, it will go back to idle. In its basic settings, I just gave it 1 life, so it will destroy after 1 hit, basically. And I've set none of the other settings as far as restore and destruction goes. Alright, and now we can go to the player, and you'll see that for right now, we'll just have a normal player where you can wait, you can slash, which is where the attack will come from, and then you can walk around. Alright, so the first thing we want to do is we'll go over destroy. So we'll click on add runtime, and we'll click on the destroy object runtime, and this simply says destroy this object, and it has no parameters, it has no settings, and what we need to understand is that the destroy runtime is a self-destroy only. You can't destroy another object. You can only trigger an object to destroy itself. Okay, and one of the things we're going to go over in this video is the different types of ways you can destroy self while still maintaining a nice logic stream in your objects. Okay, but simply for now, we're just going to click OK. And so when the link of HP is 0, we will simply destroy the object. So if we play test this, you'll see that I have a scene with 2 enemies on here. And if we pull up the debug object data, and if I scroll this down a little bit, you can see that we have a player, a dog, and dog 1 in the scene. So if I go up to this one and attack it, you'll see that it disappeared. That must have been just the normal dog. And when I click on that one, it disappears as well. So the destroy runtime command is working as intended. It's as simple as that. Okay, so now let's see some other ways that we can destroy. And we'll start by showing ways to destroy without using the runtime action destroy. And these can be found in the basic settings tab. And here we can actually set 2 methods to destroy. In the others section, we can say we want to forcibly destroy on no HP, which is pretty much the same thing we set up in our action program when 0 HP destroy, but we used a runtime action for that. This will trigger it no matter what action you're in, so you don't have to set up any logic for it. All right, and then this one is you can destroy when going off a camera. So let's do this one first just to see that it works. Forcibly destroy on no HP. And when we play test this, and we hit them once because they have 1 life, they destroy. All right, now let's test the destroy when going off camera. And this is saying that the number of tiles until the camera. So if we keep it at 0, let's just see what that looks like. And if we move our player upward just a little bit and go back down, they're destroyed. If we were to change this number, if we were to say, can you do a -1? You can do a -1. So if we were to play test this, they should destroy before even going off camera. There we go. So they destroyed a -1 tile in towards the camera. Now if we did say 5 tiles, so it has to be off the camera 5 tiles before it will destroy. And we click playtest, you'll see that they can go off the screen. We can even go up a little bit more. And when we go down, they'll still be there because they weren't 5 tiles away. So if we go up a ways and come back down, they should now be destroyed because they were 5 or more tiles away from the camera or off the camera. All right, so these are the 2 ways that we can destroy from just the basic settings. So let's go back into the action programs here, and let's put destroy runtime back on this object. Let's get rid of these links though. And this is just another method. It's a more direct signal method to destroy an object. But if we go to our player, we can take this same link and we'll link it here. And this is just for demonstrative purposes. So I'm giving this link priority. So when I press A, we're going to go to a destroy, which we're going to execute object action, which I have another video on. It should be linking up there on the top. And we're going to say the dog, and we want to destroy. And then lastly, if I click on after changeable, or changeable even after placement on scene, then I go to the scenes, I can now select which one over here on the right. So sometimes that will be an option, sometimes it won't, especially if you're generating objects. Okay, but just so you guys know that, that's a useful feature. In my case, I'm just going to be destroying all, or I'm going to be sending them to their action destroy, is what this is actually doing. Because we can see there's actually no link to destroy. So, and I'm just showing this for just a method that you can use. So for instance, now when I press A, both the dogs are destroyed because I signaled them to go to their destroyed state. All right, and now that we have that one out of the way, I'll just delete that for now. And we'll go back to the dog, and we'll remove the destroy from the runtime action here. And we're actually going to set this up a little differently. So now we'll go to, this will be the last method I show. This is a method I actually like to use. And there's a few different ways to do it with this method actually. So if you click on the cogwheel up here, you can go to click set common action. And if you click OK, you'll get a common actions tab. And in here we can add a new common action. And how common actions work is you have this box right here, which is your condition into the common action. And this box right here is where you'll set up a normal action for this. And then this box, this last box here is your link out. So the condition to leave and go back to the state it was in. Because how common actions work, you can see that you get this box once you create a common action. How common actions work is, say you're in idle and the condition into your common action rings true, it's going to jump right into that common action. No matter how far along you were in your logic, it's going to jump out of that, go into here, and then when it's done and the condition for exiting rings true, it's going to go right back to the action that you were previously in, which can be good and can be bad, because if you were in an action that had an animation, it's going to restart that animation and it could look a little weird. So you have to use these with extreme caution. I have found that destroy though with common action is a very useful way to use them. All right, so with that said, let's go back to our common action and let's go to the first link, the entering link. And I'm going to add the same condition that we had, which is when the HP was equal to 0 of the object self. All right, and when that happens, we're going to destroy. Now there's a few ways I'm going to show you with how to do it within the common action. We'll just start with this simple one. And that is just add the destroy right into here. So if we go back to action programs, we'll see that we now have this destroy. And over here on the right, you have destroy. You can change the runtimes to here, but you can't change the link conditions. You could in the action program, you can only change the link conditions here. All right, so with that said, we have enough to test this out. Let's click play test. And now if we were to go attack the dogs, you'll see that the common action worked just as well. So they were in idle, and when the HP reached 0, it took them out of whatever state it would have been in and went to destroy. All right, so that is how we can use common actions. All right, so we've gone over what destroy object does, ways to destroy it now. Let's talk about the restore, because the restore is really interesting. And first off, there's a concept that we can go over to understand exactly how we can restore a destroyed object. All right, so let's take a look. And I made a quick visual down here just so we could better understand how the whole destroy restore system works, and hopefully it'll make more sense. So we have our two objects that we've been destroying here, and then we have a garbage can right here. And it's got some stuff in it, and it's waiting for the garbage man to come and clean it out, okay? And in programming and other engines, this is referred to as a garbage collector, all right? So when we destroy our object, we're actually just stuffing it in to the garbage collector, and we're saying, hey, when garbage man comes, we want this thing gone. Now, the cool thing about Pixel Game Maker is you get to choose when that garbage man comes. So for instance, when we are restoring, we are actually grabbing that object back out and saying, you know what? I don't want you destroyed anymore. Come back to life. Now, when you do restore, it restarts from whatever state is your default state. So you're not restarting it from where you left off. That's disable object. Destroy, when you destroy, it actually completely removes it. And when you restore it, it's almost like you're just generating a new object of it, except for you're not generating it. It's the same object. All right, you're just taking it out of the trash. Now, there are some options where the as soon as you destroy it, it's gone. The garbage man's just a 24/7 garbage man, just waiting for you to throw that garbage away, and he'll take it right out, and then you'll never be able to restore them again. There's other options where, which we'll get into, where you'll just be able to take them right back out. All right, so with that visual, let's go ahead and get started looking at restore. All right, so going back to Pixel Game Maker, I'm just going to leave the destroy condition what we had last, which was just jumping into the common action, so we can actually delete that action right there. The thing to note about restore is that you can't go into the object you're restoring and have a restore destructed object condition. You can't restore yourself, basically. You have to have another object do that. So for testing purposes, we're just going to do this out of the player object. And I'm going to make a link to this action right here called restore. And I'm just going to say when B is pressed, then we will call this restore destroyed object. Now on this one, we actually get a setting, and it's to say which object do you want to restore. And if we click on it, we get not set, or we get a list of our objects. So in our case, we can choose dog. Now, the thing to note here is that you'll know that there's no single or all option right here. And that is because this option will restore any object that is a dog. So that is something that you have to consider. Okay, if you have even similar objects that you don't want all to restore, then you might have to have separate objects for those, because you can only restore all of them or none. It's an all or none situation. So if we click OK on this, so again, when I press B, we will restore all the dogs. So let's play test. And just to show this, I'm going to hit F1, go to debug, object data, pull this down again. You see our two dogs. So we'll go and destroy. So there's one. And we'll go and destroy again. And now I'll hit B, and you'll see they both came back. All right. So that is how restore object runtime action works. Now, the other cool thing we can do is we can click after what's the name? Changeable even after placement. There we go. And we can go to scenes, and you can do the same thing where you can just set it specifically. Again, you can't choose the specific. I just like to show that that option's there for any runtime. Well, majority of them anyway. All right, so now let's remove this runtime and this action here, and let's show the other way to restore. Now I just realized when I was showing you inside here how you can't restore yourself, I meant of runtime action. You can't restore the self. You do, however, have some options in the basic settings tab which you can restore yourself. You can find all the restore conditions right here. Restore after destruction condition. And by default, scene change is selected. So if we were to play test and now start seeing how this works, we can destroy these objects. We can go out of the scene and we can go back in the scene. And because we scene changed, we pulled these out of the garbage. We restored them. All right, another one that we can do is we can say going off camera. So we can say when the destroyed object goes off camera, then we will also destroy it. And again, we can do number of tiles. It was the same way that this one's done. So if we play test here and we destroy them and we go up and come back down, they will be restored. The other way that we can do is this one's pretty cool. So this is restore with action. So this one, and what by action it means runtime action. So the only way that this object will be restored is if a runtime action restore on this object is being called, similar to how we did it when we had this action set up. Okay, and maybe I shouldn't have deleted that. Let's get that back here. So we'll go restore, and then I will make it when B is pressed, and then we will restore the dog. All right, there we go. And so in our dog basic settings, we have restore with action. And so let's show you what I mean by this. So we can destroy them, and then we can leave the scene, and we can come back into the scene, and we can press B, and they will restore. So what this option is doing is it's saying, hey, we're going to destroy this object, but the garbage man never comes to collect this ever. Okay, but you have to go out there and pull it out yourself with a runtime action. That's basically what that is saying. The only way to restore it is by using the runtime action. And then the last option we get for restore is none. And this is the example where I was saying the garbage man is there 24/7, and as soon as it's in the garbage, he takes it out. So you can see that we can destroy one. And remember, I still have the condition in my player. I still have the ability to restore. So when I press B, nothing happens. And that is because the object has no restore conditions. Now that we've gone over this, this one is a very common one to miss because again, it defaults to scene change. And I talked about this in my bullet settings video, which will be linking up at the top there. With bullets and stuff, you're going to be generating them, right? Or firing them. And then they're going to get to their end and they're going to destroy usually. Well, if you do not have none selected, they're going to come back to life when you change scene or however the setup is. So you need to think about when you're destroying an object, do you want it to ever come back or to be restored? And if not, it's simple. You click none. The garbage man comes to the garbage collector and takes it away. If you do want an action, like say you do want it to just be on standby, I just want it there in case I need it, then you could just have a restore with runtime action. If you want it there every scene change, which could happen for some enemies, you want them back on a scene change, or a bush that you destroy you want back when you change scenes. Or you can go going off camera, so you can have some old really retro games where as soon as you leave the camera they come back. I think like Mega Man might be an example or something like that. And yeah, So these are your restore conditions. We went over destroying the object, ways to destroy, and now we just went over restoring object and ways to restore. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was informative. I know there is a little bit more going on with destroy and restore than we usually think about. So that's why I made this its own video. We'll talk about disable next, and then we will talk about the differences between the two. So yeah, with that said, I'll see you at the next video.